Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Second Take. It is Monday. We switched it up a little bit. I am back at Cornell for the beginning of my sophomore year. As you can see, I'm in my dorm room. Lots of snacks behind me. So I think I'm ready for the year. Jill, how's it going? How are you?
I'm good. I've been at my dorm, so there's nothing, my apartment, so there's nothing really new here. I do want to wish a happy birthday to Kobe Bryant. It was on Saturday. He's now 36, still killing it. We miss you, Mamba. We're ready to see you this season.
Yeah, happy birthday to Kobe. And let's jump right into our topics for this week. Recently, Tiger Woods parted ways with his golf swinging coach, Sean Foley. It was an amicable separation. There's no animosity there. Tiger Woods said he was honored to work with him for so long. Sean Foley brought him a lot of success, but as we know, lately Tiger Woods hasn't been playing his best. He dropped out of his last tournament due to his back injury. He said he'll be back in December. So I'm sure that there are a lot of coaches out there who would want to coach Tiger Woods, possibly bring him back to his prominence, and I'm sure he's going to come back ready to make some noise. Hopefully, I would love to see that, but as we've said, he doesn't really have it in him as much as he used to. I'm sure he's going to work hard to get back to there, but age is hard to fight. You can't really do anything about the fact that you get old. So I don't know. We'll see. What are you thinking?
I've said my piece about Tiger Woods. I think he lost it. I think ever since that whole scandal happened, he hasn't been the same. Ever since he got hit with, what, a frying pan or something, his ex-wife hit him, I think it knocked the golf out of him. And I don't think he can play like he used to. Switching a coach, I don't know if that's going to do much. I think, this is kind of the beginning of the end for Tiger Woods, and we're just going to see, a very sad decline going on right here. Quicker, goes a lot better if you just admit it's over, but he's going to start doing little things. Switching coaches is the first thing. He's going to switch his clubs. He'll do something weird. He wants to put the blame on anyone else but him, and I said it's the beginning of the end.
All right, well, we know how Jill feels about Tiger, so let's move right on to some news that we've discussed every week, but the trade has finally been finalized. Kevin Love will be going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thaddeus Young from the Sixers will be going to the Timberwolves. It's a three-team trade. Timberwolves will also be receiving Anthony Bennett, along with Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick. So I'd say the Timberwolves they're probably not going to make the playoffs next season, but I think they're in a good position looking towards the future. I think Andrew Wiggins will definitely improve a lot. Anthony Bennett, hopefully he can step up because I know that was an awful turnout for a first pick in the draft for them. Then they have another pick, and Thaddeus Young is a solid power forward. So Timberwolves have some things to look forward to. Adding those players to Ricky Rubio, Kevin Martin, Nikolai Pekovic, they could be okay. Probably not playoffs next season, but I think that they will definitely improve over time. Moving on to some NFL, the Oakland Raiders were ranked the most undesirable team to play for. We know that they picked up Maurice Jones-Drew and Matt Castle over the offseason, along with some defensive pieces, and they always tend to add these great players in the draft in the offseason, but they still don't play all that well. So I can totally see why the Raiders are ranked number one on that list. The Bills are ranked number two. Also makes a lot of sense to me. The Bills haven't had success since I was born, I believe, probably before then too. So I can totally understand that. The Raiders are looking to improve. Hopefully they will. Not too sure about that, so we'll see. But it's definitely been an interesting preseason so far. The Minnesota Vikings named Matt Castle their starting quarterback over Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not all that surprised by that. I think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough to start in the NFL, but you can't put all your eggs into a rookie basket. So I think that having him sit under Matt Castle for some time will probably help him out. What are you thinking, Joe?
Well, something about the Raiders. Remember we were talking last week about how you put a lot of great people on a team and it still just doesn't work? That's the Raiders. They get some of the greatest draft picks, always. On paper, they should be amazing and they suck, so it makes sense because it's another place where dreams go to die. And then as far as Teddy Bridgewater, I love Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson is one of my favorite players in the NFL, so I do support the Vikings a lot. And I remember going into the draft or whatever, I was saying that the Vikings need Mike Vick because that's what Adrian Peterson wants. And when he wants something, you give it to him. They didn't get Mike Vick. Who is just like Mike Vick? Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to do what Mike Vick would do. Matt Castle starting in the first game, I don't think that's going to last very long. Even though Teddy Bridgewater is young, he's a very good player. I see a lot of talent in him, mainly because the guy who coached him is now coaching my team, so I like to believe, we're good with the quarterbacks right now. But I definitely don't think this is going to stick, and I think Adrian Peterson is going to want a guy like Teddy Bridgewater because he wants a guy who's going to do some running too and know how to hand off the ball and let Adrian Peterson do his thing. So I don't take these who's starting that importantly. I mean, I don't know if we announced this already, but, Johnny Manziel will not be starting. So does that mean we're not going to see him play? Probably not. We're going to see him play. We're going to see these guys play. They like to make these drastic who's going to start type things, but it never sticks. You know how football goes. So I take these with a grain of salt. We'll see Teddy Bridgewater. We'll see what he has to offer. I'd be surprised if he's not starting next year.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you. I don't think that this is going to last very long. I think that teams like to give the veterans the opportunity to possibly show themselves, but then eventually the rookies get the start. I think that Teddy Bridgewater will be starting around week 5, week 6, and the Vikings could be okay. As far as the Browns, Brian Hoyer is starting. I figured Jill would get on me for that since I was so certain that Johnny Manziel will be starting. Glad she didn't, but
let's not forget that let's talk about a little incident that happened with Johnny Manziel and the Redskins. He was caught flicking off the Redskins bench, which you would probably see in a Pop Warner game, a parent getting angry and flicking off the other bench. This does not happen in the NFL. This is childish behavior. He was fined, $12,000? I mean, a fine doesn't do anything. He is ruining himself. And I said this was going to happen. I said no one wants the burden of Johnny Manziel, and I'm right because he's a burden at the end of the day. He's annoying. He's causing a problem all the time, and everyone is using the little money sign thing to mock him. He got sacked by Michael Sam the other night. Michael Sam sacked him and then did the little money sign. So he's becoming a joke around the NFL and to players and to the world. He is a joke. So good job, Johnny.
Wouldn't go as far as saying he's a joke. I would say I do not support a lot of the things that he's doing. I think that a lot of the reactions he's getting from people, he's bringing upon himself. The Michael Sam mocking him, people disliking him for throwing up the middle finger. I think that he really needs to get it together. I'll always support Johnny Manziel as a football player and an athlete. He's very talented. His actions as of late, I'm really not a fan of. I can totally understand why the Browns want to start Brian Hoyer right now, but I think that eventually Johnny Manziel will get the start as well. They're talking about trying to work out a 2-quarterback system, perhaps the Wildcat with Johnny Manziel, something like that. I think that could work for the Browns. I think that right now they really need to try anything to kind of throw defenses off and get some wins because, I mean, we've talked about this. The Browns really aren't all that great, so they really need to try some trickery, something that can get them some success. So Brian Hoyer will be starting for now, but I think that'll change. And then this preseason, we've been seeing a lot of injuries. Some very unfortunate news for the St. Louis Rams, who did not have Sam Bradford for most of last season. He will be out again for this season. He tore his ACL once again. Definitely sucks for them. B.J. Raji is out with an injury. Do you know what his exact injury is?
I think he tore his bicep.
Okay, yes, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, B.J. Raji will also be out for the season with his torn bicep. Very unfortunate news for him. Wes Welker suffered his 3rd concussion in the last 9 months. Tom Brady spoke out about it, saying it's awful that was his former receiver, and it's definitely got to be a concern for the Broncos that the fact that Welker will sit out one game, come back, catch a pass, get hit in the head, he's out for another game. He's back and forth. It's really unfortunate. He's very talented. He's a great addition to their offense. But if he can't be out there on the field every week making plays for them, then, I mean, you have to consider whether or not he's worth keeping around. I think he is, but at the same time, you want to ensure that he's there for every game. And they really can't ensure that right now. Cam Newton is dealing with a fractured rib. That's not too serious. Cam Newton should be back. He'll definitely be good for the season, but this preseason's been full of a lot of injuries, and that's definitely one concern about preseason. I mean, it's not that exciting. You don't watch it all that much, but the starters do play for some time. But in that short amount of time, we're seeing a lot of starters getting injured. So kind of makes you think whether or not preseason should be so long, if starters should play at all. It's definitely a concern for me. I don't know how you're feeling about that, but
I have said multiple times I think preseason's stupid. I think it's a waste of time. I don't watch it. I love football and I don't watch preseason because I don't care. They're not playing. They're not really into it. And can you imagine how frustrating it is for these players to get injured and out for the season in a preseason game that absolutely means nothing? It's insane, and we've seen so many injuries. Those are just the major ones that we know of. There have been a lot of minor injuries, guys out for 1 to 2 games. We just listed some of the season-ending ones. And about Wes Welker, concussions add up. The more concussions you have, the harder it is to deal with it. And you don't want this guy racking up concussions because he's an amazing player. He's small, but he's great. And for Sam Bradford, I mean, he's a Sooner. I've never liked him, but I feel for him. He just got his ACL fixed, and then he tore it again in a preseason game. I mean, not like you want to tear it again in a regular season game, but at least you were doing something of substance. At least what you were doing mattered when you got hurt. You were playing for something. This time you're playing for nothing and you're hurt. I mean, and we can also talk about in basketball. Paul George, hello? What did that game have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. It wasn't even preseason. It's for the World Cup of basketball. It's dumb, and he's out for the entire year now. And now he has a leg that's cracked in half. So, I mean, you got to think about these athletes and be reasonable. They are humans, If you're putting them through all these games and you expect them to go play regular season, it's taking a toll on their bodies. I mean, there's no preseason in college football, and everyone's kind of doing a lot better with that. So I think they should get rid of the preseason in the NFL. It's really just causing harm to them. I understand they want to do more practice, but you're going to lose all your starters. I thought last year was the year of the injuries, but this year seems to be year of the injuries part 2, because the year hasn't even started yet, and it's insane already. So, I mean, the Rams need any quarterback they can have, and now they're out. Cam Newton, we say it's not that bad to have a fractured rib, but, I mean, I wouldn't want it. So you got to, look at these things. B.J. Raji, was it worth it to tear your bicep in a preseason game? Obviously not. So the NFL needs to do a lot of thinking on this stuff. Same with the NBA, because you see these guys getting hurt, especially in the NBA. The NBA, you don't have that many players. So there's an issue here, and we're caring so much about player safety, so we need to care a little bit more now, because preseason is just hurting them even more.
Absolutely, you make great points. I mean, at the end of the day, just in general, playing sports is dangerous. Like you can get hurt at any time, anywhere, doing anything. So I mean, the fact that these players the NBA players go through 82 games and they do playoffs, and then Paul George was in the playoffs for a pretty long time, and then he goes and does this summer stuff. And then in the NFL, you got 17 weeks of regular season on top of 4 weeks of preseason, then playoffs and Pro Bowls and MLB 162 games, like all these extra things on the side with the summer World Cup and all that. It's dangerous. Like players definitely need their rest time. Like I can definitely respect Kawhi Leonard for withdrawing from the summer basketball league because he wanted to rest. It's smart. I mean,
yeah. I mean, people are gonna get on him, being like, "Oh, why would you withdraw?" But hello, he understands. You go in that, you are risking getting injured. Again, you could get injured walking down the street, but you can limit the possibilities of you getting hurt. In practice, it happens, but you don't see these severe injuries in practice that often. The most severe one I saw is Jamal Charles juked one of his teammates in practice and broke the guy's ankle. That's because he's Jamal Charles and he's insane. But, I mean, other than that, you don't see guys getting this severely hurt, because when you're in practice, you're not going full speed. But, in these preseason games, you got competitive guys trying to play a friendly game that doesn't exist. I mean, the Pro Bowl is probably the easiest they can go on each other. But they're competitive by nature. They can't help it. They're going to do what they do. They're paid to do. They're going to play their heart out in these preseason games. So it's, as you said, we got a lot of stuff to reconsider with this. They play too many games to be doing this type of stuff as well. These guys need a break. Their bodies are their careers. So what happens when they lose it? It's too hard. They got to reconsider this. Kawhi Leonard was very smart from withdrawing, and I bet that's why a lot of guys withdrew from it, because why put yourself at risk for that? You're about to have the longest season in most sports, so you better rest up before that comes.
Yeah, absolutely. You make great points. But on the same token, I can understand why these players choose to do these things. I mean, they play these sports for their professions. NFL players play football for a living. So it's something that they love to do, and they clearly want to get out on the field as soon as possible. So I can understand why they play in preseason. But is it really worth it to risk your star on one preseason game when you could lose them for 16 regular season games and possibly playoffs? Like, it's really just it's all about being wise and thinking ahead. So that's really one of my main concerns with the whole preseason thing. But moving on to the Little League World Series, we saw the Chicago Western All-Stars, I believe, that they won the championship. South Korea won. It's been a really fun time watching these guys play. Again, I wish I could play in the Little League World Series when I was of age, but I wasn't that good. My team wasn't that good, but that's okay because I get to watch other people be happy, and that's all that matters to me. Bud Selig actually said he wants to see a woman in the MLB. That's very interesting. I mean, as we know, women are doing a lot more things as they've gained their equality in the world. We know historically they were very discriminated, but now we see women doing a lot of different things. So a woman in the MLB would be pretty awesome. I think that'd be very interesting. I don't.
Mo'ne Davis, baby, she's on it. I love this girl. I think she's great. I've said it many times. She's awesome. And I think if anyone's on the path to do it, it's her. The MLB, there's no rule that says a woman can't play in it. It's not the men's National League of baseball, so it's open to whoever. So I would like to see her go in that. Why not? Make a name for yourself. Be a baseball player. Women don't need to be set aside to softball anymore. We should be able to compete for baseball just like all the guys do.
Yes, and Mo'ne Davis, if you do come to the MLB, I would love it if you played for the Yankees because we could definitely use you right now. So
Yes.
I'll try to get you in contact with Joe Girardi as soon as possible, but definitely come to New York, play for us. And then finally, I'm sure Jill is happy about this. I sure am. One of the best sports is coming back. Thursday, there's a game coming up, right? Who's playing, Jill?
Oh, just those gross little Aggies are playing South Carolina, and it's going to be on the SEC Network. The SEC Network just launched, and this is probably the only game they're actually carrying this year. Pretty pointless network, but I can't talk because we do have our own pointless network. But, it's going to be a good one, a Thursday night game. We were used to seeing Thursday night games usually were the worst teams, like teams no one cares about, North Dakota State playing someone, But this is a very big game. This is like a primetime game. We're going to see that more this season, more Thursday night games, and I'm excited because that's less days I have to wait for football. And I expect South Carolina to pull this one out. I don't think the Aggies have it in them. I do love Kevin Sumlin. I think he's a great coach. I think he's hilarious. But I just don't think they have it in them. They have a quarterback situation. They had a team that they let Johnny do everything, really, and they didn't really think for themselves. So not saying Johnny was great or anything. I'm just saying that's what he was doing. But they lost some receivers. They lost Mike Evans in the draft. That's going to be a hard one. Their offensive line I expect to be pretty up to par last year. And then we're looking at South Carolina. They did lose their big name to Davion Clowney, and sometimes we forget that there was more people on that team because all we cared about was Davion. So clearly there's going to be a hit on the defense because of him. There's going to be a huge gap without him there. But I think they lost many other players, and I expect them to come back just as strong. And I think they're about to show the Aggies how to really play some football and that who's the better team. And I expect South Carolina to play it, to kill them with it. I think it's going to be a good game to watch. And I hope it's a good game to watch because this is filling my void right now, and I need it to be great. So I'm really excited for it. I know you're excited for it. So we're just all ready for some football.
Yeah, Second Take is definitely ready for college football to be coming back. The NFL regular season will be starting soon. MLB is still going. It's looking like we're going to have a lot more to talk about. I know this summer has been a little dry, but we are working on that for you guys, so have no fear. On that note, we are going to conclude the show for this week. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next week. Enjoy all the sports that are coming up. Enjoy the Thursday night college football game. South Carolina will probably be taking that one, and just have a great week.